while you're here. Cool, this is awesome. Listen, before we go any further, I just have to take a second to thank Lemoyne for this space. Can we please give Lemoyne a big round of applause? Isn't this awesome? This is huge. This is so cool. So yeah, I want to just sort of wrap up a few things before we get into the panel portion of our event. So what John is saying and what Eric is saying is that we have the opportunity and we have a future ahead of us to grow significantly. To do that, we need you all. We need the workers. We need your hands. We need your brains. We need your muscles. We need your vision. So what that means is, and what John was saying, is that you start somewhere, anywhere, on a non-union film, a small $500,000 film, something like that, right? And you might only be getting $150 a day to start. That's minimum wage, right? That's where you're gonna start, that's okay. Because there are people who were making that last year that are, like John said, now making $40 an hour. That's over $500 a day. I don't know, I can't do the math in my head, but it is over 500, it's almost, plus overtime, yeah, so 600 plus. So all that to say that we have a lot of eyes that are gonna be looking at us, a lot of producers from LA or whoever, looking at us to think, can we shoot our film there? They got tax incentives, they have other financial incentives, they have 4 seasons, et cetera, all the things I mentioned before. Should we shoot in Syracuse? And oftentimes, the thing that's going to make or break it is whether or not we can facilitate the production. That means whether or not we have enough hands, qualified hands. Now, as John was saying, we don't necessarily need every position filled, because it's actually a good thing if they bring in a DP and people from LA, or, people who have 20, 30 years of experience in this industry and maybe won Academy Awards or whatever. Like, that's great, because that means that we get to learn from them. And our people get to grow underneath them and have that connection that, you make these connections and they travel with you throughout the industry. So that's, again, to bring it back to what this is all about, is CNY Film Professionals, with all of our allies and partners here, are trying to build that infrastructure, trying to make it so that a film considering Syracuse or our region has no reason to say no. And in fact, they have all the reasons to say yes. I want to give a little anecdote real quick. I got a phone call from a line producer. A line producer is somebody who puts a budget together for a film. So a producer hires them and says, tell me what it's going to cost to shoot this film in Syracuse. This line producer was in New Orleans. Calls me and says, okay, what do you have for crew? We go down the list. What do you have for grips? What do you have for electric? What do you have for gaffers? What do you have for sound? What do you have for hair and makeup? What do you have for wardrobe? What do you have, goes down the list. What do you have for camera department? And they are determining how many people they have to fly in and how many people we have locally. The more they have to fly in, the more expensive it is for them to shoot here. So they have to pay for that airfare, the hotels, and per diems, and higher rates usually. So the more that I can tell that person on that next phone, the next time I have this phone call, the more that I can tell that person, we have that. Yes, we have it. We have those people. They're here. They're ready to go. They're trained. They know their stuff. They've worked on films. They're ready to go. The more I can do that, the more those films are going to say, all right, the bottom line looks solid. This looks good. I think it's a go. We're going to shoot in Syracuse. Right? All right, cool. So I'm going to get down to a little bit of the brass tacks of how we're doing it. Okay, this is the nitty-gritty of how we're doing this. And this is how, how we're going to do the workforce development and how we're going to build the infrastructure. So basically, yeah, exactly. So you guys think my ferns on the stage here. We're going to get to the good stuff soon, I promise you. But this is really important. This is the meat and potatoes. This is the vegetables of the whole thing that we got to do. So basically, the big thing is that we are trying to create job opportunities, and we're trying to connect you to job opportunities. The most important thing that can happen is for you to get on a film and work on a film. Even if you're not doing the exact thing that you love to do. Let's say you want to be an actor, but you get hired as a PA, take the job. You're going to learn. You're going to make connections. Take that job. It's $150 a day. Let's say you could make more at another job, but you want to work in film, take the job. Take the job, learn, make connections, okay? So job opportunities. We also, as you may or may not know, we have a website where we have a directory where people can get listed, and you can put your name and your phone number and your email address and everything, and you can say what you do. And that's a big part of what we do. We are also doing workforce development initiative. And so how that works is we're putting together a series of workshops and a specific training program that we're developing right now. And on that note, I want to show you something. If you don't mind, if you would humor me for a moment. there's a very specific approach that we're taking to this, and this is the core of what CNY Film Professionals is working on right now. We are doing what's called what we are terming is this the one? No, wrong one. We are doing what's called a training funnel. Okay, good. So I'm going to just slide this one over onto the screens. I just took on a southern accent. I don't know if y'all heard that. But, is that up there? Yeah. Sort of, huh? It is. All right, cool. So let me just talk about this real quick, because this is the crux of what we're doing. And this is how this all works. So basically, you start at the most generic stage. And what that means is there are some, as John Scardino said, there are some bare bone fundamentals that everybody needs to know, right? And it's professionalism 101. You need to show up on time. You need to know what kind of clothes to wear. You need to know how to prepare yourself, what tools you need. You need to know the terminology, the words that are being said on set. You need to know safety precautions and safety protocols. You need to know set hierarchy. You need to know who you're answering to, okay? You need to know who not to answer to. You need to know what your lane is and what lanes are not yours. These are just very, very fundamental things. So that's step number one. And then after we go through a workshop or two on that, we train on that, and we set you up to learn how to be a PA. That's a production assistant. Again, nobody should ever be ashamed of being a production assistant. I don't care if you want to be an actor, cinematographer, writer, director. Being a PA is an invaluable experience in terms of learning and growing connections, etc. Our PA is not an entirely valuable part of the film set. Thank you. My friends talk. Thank you.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's important to be exposed to how film is made at all levels, and get used to doing it at any level you can kind of understand what it feels.
Right. So we train you to be a PA, and then we put you onto a live mock set. A live mock set is basically just a way to say, until you actually have your hands on the equipment, until you take those steps and see everything actually happening in front of you, a classroom experience cannot take the place of that. So we create a real experience that you can step onto a set and get that real set experience. Now, I mean, it's still a mock set, so we're not actually, it doesn't have the pace of a real film set, but it has all the equipment, it has all the people, it has all the components. The fourth step is we connect you with employers. And what that means is we are going to set up workshops that are led by people who work in that particular field, right? So if we're doing a camera department workshop, we're going to have a cinematographer or a first AC, first assistant camera person, lead that workshop. And that's important for a couple reasons. One is because there's, academia is one thing that's valuable in a certain way, but you have to learn from the people that are actually doing the thing. There's no way around it. You have to learn from the people that are doing the thing. The other reason why it's super important is because besides knowledge and professionalism, the most important thing in this industry is relationships. And what this does is it starts to build relationships. It gives you somebody who you've had some, there's the person leading the thing, and then there's 20 people here that they're talking to. That's a relationship, okay? And that's valuable, and that's some of the most important steps to get going. And then the final step is an apprenticeship. What that means is that we get these professionals who are actually leading those workshops to hire the people that they trained to come on the set and start learning. And then once you get on the set, once you start getting a few credits under your belt, you can kind of take it from there. You don't need any more education from that. I mean, you're always learning, but you're learning on set, you're learning on the job. But for the most part, and then we're also working with Local 52 on creating workshops. Like they do workshops, and we're going to be working with them as well. And those are workshops specifically for particular equipment, right? So for example, if we're going to be doing a crane, then we should have a workshop where our grips learn how to work with a crane, or whatever it may be, so that you don't show up on set and like, I never worked on a crane. Well, we're going to create workshops so that you have worked on a crane. So that's what CNY Film Professionals Workforce Development Program is. And in such, we are partnering with Lemoyne College, Syracuse City School District and their CTE program, Ithaca College, Syracuse University, etc., to tap into the young, eager, energetic minds that are around us who want to get in there, who want to get their hands dirty, show up on set, work a 12, 14-hour day, not complain, and learn and feel that drive, feel that energy, because that's all it takes. Is you show up on set, you have a good attitude, you show up on time, you have a good attitude, all the things that John said. Show up on time, you have a good attitude, and you try to learn. And your career will take care of itself. I promise you that. John's nodding. Thank you.
People go into the know everything and have very bad attitude. I know they're hard to take care of. How do they want? Who wants to deal with this?
That's right. That's right. So that's all I want to say about what it's going to take to build a workforce. I just wanted to kind of get into those nuts and bolts, because I think it's really important that everybody understands what it is that we're doing here. Because if we all pitch in, again, all hands on deck, okay? We are all going to come together and we're going to build a film industry in central New York. And there's going to be crazy big films coming through here. There's going to be a ton of small independent films coming through here. There's going to be $500,000 films and $5 million films and $50 million films. And we're all going to be working and we're all going to be having fun and making money. All right, can I get a round of applause for that, please? All right, so one last thing I want to say about CNY Film Professionals, and then I'm done, I promise. We are a member-supported organization. That means that we rely on y'all's support. We are all volunteer, none of us gets paid, but we do have to pay for the website, we have to pay for the directory, which is a very expensive cost. We have to pay for this event. For example, this event was rather expensive. So, but much less than it would have been if not for the great generosity of Lemoyne College. Love you, Nicole. So with that said, I would please encourage everyone to stop by the tables before the end of the evening and consider becoming a professional member if you're not already a professional member. If you don't feel up to being a professional member, if you don't feel it's suitable for you, we also are introducing a new membership tonight called Community Supporter. And it's $5 a month, and it's basically like a Patreon. It says, I believe in what you guys are doing. I want to support what's going on because I realize that this can become big and we can really do good things. So I please encourage you to stop by and consider becoming either a professional member or a community supporter. Or if you just want to kick us a donation for the event. $5, $10, $800, whatever you want to do. It's all good. And finally, there is a very special event coming up immediately following this. A film that has not premiered yet and has yet to be seen outside of the eyes of the people who worked on it will be screening privately at the Performing Arts Center, just a building away. That screening is available to the cast and crew of the film, and if you know, can I say this? Okay. The film is called The Shed, because we have to be secretive about it because it hasn't premiered yet. We have to say this, so this is a private thing. On that note, no social media about it, no reviews, no photos, no mentioning online that you saw this film.
But anything you like, you can go.
Yeah, tell Frank. So if you are a cast, crew member, or a professional member, or a community supporting member, go to the table in the back at the end of this event and you'll get a wristband that will get you into that film immediately following this event. So, before we move on to the final thing, any questions? Let's get into a bit of a Q&A. Yeah.
I just wanted, how many of you were here when Siobhan Fallon was our guest? Any of you remember that? I just want to add to all the things that have been said, diversity is the key. There should be women doing not only costume and hair, but camera and grip and everything else. There should be people of color doing all this. We should not come back here again except for our guests and see only a white male panel up here. So I think that this is really, really critically important that you go outside of what you think it is that somebody like you, whoever that may mean, does in film. So I would guess that many of the women in here think of themselves as actresses, primarily. Why not a grip? Why not somebody who's working as a camera operator or a DP? Let's get that.
Or a producer.
Well, a lot of women are producers. Certainly more and more are becoming directors. But But we need to see more diversity here than what we're seeing. There are plenty of people who are diverse in this audience, but what kinds of roles are you taking on in the films and the films that you are seeking to work on? So take Siobhan Fallon's advice. You go to a film set and they need a PA or they need an assistant camera person, and you've had some experience with it somewhere along the line, go on to that. Do it. As Elias was saying earlier, that kind of networking will take you into areas that you might not have thought of as an area that would be suitable for you, but it is suitable. Every area in filmmaking is suitable to anyone who wants to work in it, if you have the drive and interest.
I'm so glad you brought it up. Ladies and gentlemen, please go around and applause for that. That's super important. I'm so glad you brought it up. All right, so we're just going to go real quick.
The new fund that we have, CNY Arts Film Fund, there is an additional 5% component to this for diverse film crews and casts. So more women, people of color, those folks on these films, the films are actually getting a bigger credit for employing more diverse crews. So those jobs will be creating more. This is out there. LA knows, New York knows about this fund. They know about that additional 5%. So more people should be put to work because of that push we're having in upstate New York.
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm going to skip the Q&A because we're running out of time. Let's get to the real juicy part, y'all. Thanks for sitting through all the meat, vegetables, all the vegetables. Let's get to dessert.